cutest rooster I've ever had, and I raised him from a fucking chick. I did not shed a tear reading this book at all. I did not shed a tear, and now I'm like freaking Hi there, welcome or welcome back. My name is Ashley and reading is my escape. I'm going to go over, let me lift them up, all the books that I read in the month of March. I know I'm a little late getting to this, but the first week of April I did take a week-long trip with the family, and I put together my April TBR video before we left, so now I'm home and finally filmed the books I read in the month of March. So my reading goal or reading challenge TBR for the month of March was to finish or catch up on a few series of books that I physically owned. The first book that I read in the month of March at the time was the last book of a series, but we all know now that there's more books coming out in this series, and the book that I read was... yes, A Court of Silver Flames. I had not read this up until this point. I don't know why. I guess I will start off right off the bat, 5 stars. I started reading that book a few days before the podcast with Sarah J. Maas and the announcement of more books coming out, and also before she really dove into Nessa. So editing me here, I have no idea why I'm saying Nessa instead of Nesta. The only thing I can think of is my daughter has a classmate named Nessa, and I clearly see and hear that name more often. Trust me, I know her name is Nesta. I apologize. Back to the video. How her character was developed and basically mirrored off of herself at the time. I was maybe 100 pages in, maybe a little more, and I flat out said, I don't like Nessa. I think she's a brat. I don't like her. I just want to go in there and slap her and be like, listen. Well, now that I know some of the backstory and how she was acting the way she was acting, I understand that. I take back a little bit of that, but I will say that finishing the book, 5 stars, if I didn't already say that, hands down, probably my favorite book in the series. What I loved the most, she basically had nobody. You know, she had her sisters, but that's just a whole different thing. And she obviously had Cassian, who tried to stick with her and get her to do things and overcome things and help her. But like, she had nobody else, no other friendships. And just making the friendships with Gwen and Emery, that I loved. The women coming together and the training. Now I am caught up. The only issue I have now is I have not read Throne of Glass or Crescent City. Everybody is saying, and I also think Sarah is saying, that you should read all of those books before jumping into the next book in ACOTAR. So anyway, 5 stars. The next book that I read also at the time was the last book in a series, and I believe now that the author has said she's going to write one more book in the series, and that series is the Love Through the Lens series by Chelsea Curto, and the last book currently off camera was the book I read. And read. I loved this. 4 stars. It was spicy. So if you're not one, I meant to go through or look up how many chapters. They agree that they can't be in a relationship because of their jobs and who they are, but they can't like stay away from each other. So they're like, this is just going to be physical. Is it ever physical? No, it's not. We all know that. Give me an MMC with glasses, geeky, techie. They're always the ones that surprise you in the end. And I loved that. I loved the book. So that one I gave 4 stars. Moving on. Then decided to finish a series that is finished. However, I may have DNF'd the book. And this wasn't even the book that was the last of the series. Lightlark, specifically Crown Tide. Did not even get to this. I just realized, upside down. I read and I even had audio of oral. Here's the thing. I liked the first half, maybe first half of this book because it gave Oro's back history. I appreciated that. When it finally got to the point where Lightlark starts and the Centennial, I dragged through, even listening to the audio. It was not good. I should have just jumped into Crown Tide. Maybe it's just me and it was wrong time and I just wasn't feeling it. I did not finish Grimm. I have no idea if this takes place in a different time frame. I don't know. I didn't even touch this. I don't know if I ever will. Anyway, DNF. So I was like, well, that ruined that because I had this plan of finishing a couple series. And I was looking at my bookshelf and I was like, oh, why not? So I decided to finish the Ruinous Love trilogy. Yes. Leather and Lark and Scythe and Sparrow. And let me tell you, I had such a fun time. Leather and Lark, let me tell you, Lachlan, he might be my favorite MMC of the series. I don't know. This and Butcher and Blackbird might be like head to head. This one, actually, I might like better overall. I really had to sit down and compare the two. Again, I only gave it a 4-star because, I mean, it's a little messy. They meet in the past and they don't know who each other are, and it's like under bad circumstances. Well, then years passed and they run into each other again. And it's one of those things where like they meet and they didn't know who each other were and they had like instant chemistry. But then when they found out who each other, like who they were and that they had like this history, it was like, get away from me. I hate you. Get away, like get out of my life. But then some things kind of happen and threats are made, and Lark suggests that her and Lachlan get married so that therefore her family and his family, like, they can't do anything to each other because they're such in love, even though they hate each other. Well, of course, little by little, they fall in love. But I think that's what I like because Lachlan was like, he's just like a quiet, like no emotion, at least like showing emotion, and just like little by little, and just when you're in his POV and just some of the stuff that he starts to feel and think and do and the little things, I don't know, I like that. I like the quiet guy, you know, off in the distance that you just don't really think is the true romantic, and then they slowly over time, you know, fall for the person and become very protective and possessive. And anyway, so yes, 4 stars. Then moving on to Scythe and Sparrow. This I also really enjoyed, but this is just more of a fun time. Rose is just something else. She's in the circus. I mean, if you're in the circus, you gotta be a little crazy. This one I gave 3 stars. It wasn't as emotionally damaging as the other two, and it was just, like I said, just a fun, silly, good fun time. Silly, good fun time when there's... So I recommend. I wouldn't say this one's terrible. At the time this came out, a lot of people were just like really bashing this one. I don't know. I like them. I appreciate when the other characters from the other books do show up and they're connected. I know that just sounds stupid because yes, it's a series, but even though it's about each couple separately, they all have like these friendships. Obviously the 3 are brothers. Yes. moving on from that, the next series is another one that I'm caught up on, that there are more books coming out, but now I'm caught up on all the ones that are out. That series and book is The Boys of Tommen, specifically Releasing 10. So I'll just start right off. 5 stars. I knew a lot going in what this book was about and what the topics and what happened. I don't even really want to go into that much, because I feel like, again, that's something that each individual person should look and research on their own. But I will say, if I had to give like a quick overview or like talk about how I felt reading this, I felt every emotion reading this. There are some happy moments. There are some funny moments. There are some like annoying moments because they're kids. They're in school age. Like, you're just like, wow, that's immature. There are some sad moments. I didn't shed any tears, and I think it's because I just, again, personally can't relate on that deep of a level where it like hits me enough to be like. And also I will say, because like I said, because I knew what was happening or what was going to happen, if I started reading a chapter and I just got the feeling that something bad was happening, I would just like read it, get through the chapter, start the next chapter, and kind of forget what I just read. Like, I wouldn't get hung up on and like stop reading and be like, oh my God, I can't believe, like, I just kept reading to get through it, to get through some of those like more disturbing chapters and sad chapters. But what I felt the most during this entire book was anger. Anger on so many different levels. Obviously, number one, Mark Allen, and I'm not even going to talk about him that much. I don't even want to like talk about him. If you've read the book, you know. Just anger on so many levels. But what I will say, the first thing that angered me were the parents. I felt there was so many things in this book that, not only when she was diagnosed at such a young age with a mental disorder and the bipolar, and her father basically wanted to just kick her out of the house and send her away. I cannot imagine. Her mom, at first I'm like, okay, she's not that bad. But like, as the book went, I don't know. I just feel like the people, I'm saying this, I feel like her parents are solely to blame for what happened to her. Because if you cannot form a relationship with your child at a young age, no matter what, if you're clinically diagnosed with some sort of mental disorder, physical disability, I don't know, just so many things children cannot control. And stuff like that does not define who they are or who they will be. You can't even, like, they're not even giving her a chance to grow up and get, like, to manage what she was dealt. And they're not, like, helping her through it. They're basically just, like, ignoring it. They never talked with her. They never made her feel comfortable, so she never talked to them. Never had any trust. And I feel like that right there, if they would have from day one had a loving, nurturing, like, relationship with her where she felt safe and she felt like she could talk to them about anything without being like afraid of how they would react, I would hope that she would have went to them sooner when she was being treated the way she was by Mark. Not only Mark, but just in general with dealing with her mind and her, the hurdles she had to jump through with being bipolar. Like, I just feel like nobody believed her when she told them things, and therefore as she got older and time went on, she just never spoke up, and then everything just went to shit. I just and I feel like it's the same with Gibbsy. Like, same thing. He never spoke up either, and his mom, a lot of people, like, I've read some things online that they think like she knew, like that Gibbsy's mom knew what was going on, and if that comes out and that is said that like she, like, I don't even, like, some people say that like she's more of a villain than Mark. I don't know. And and not only that, but like her sister. Like, I feel like her sister would still be alive and breathing on this earth again if Lizzie, like, if her parents just had a better relationship with both of them. I don't know. I was also angry, not at Huey at all by anything. I truly believe he is an angel that was like sent down. I'm gonna like cry talking about this. Why? I said I didn't cry reading this book. I am angry that he had to deal with what he had to deal with at such a young age. Also, holy crap, why am I crying? He should not have had to grow up and like take care of her. Like, that's her parents' job. Her parents should have been taking care of her, not Huey. Holy crap. Holy crap, I'm like sweating. Anyway, this was just so good but so bad at the same time. Fuck. So I didn't want to do the review on this, but like, I'm not even joking. I did not shed a tear reading this book at all. I did not shed a tear, and now I'm like freaking yes, okay. I'm done. I don't know if I can talk anymore. Basically, I'm angry. I'm angry at a lot of people, and I don't know how I'm going to feel reading the next book. So the next book better make a turnaround. Moving on to something that's hopefully not going to make me cry. There was one more series that I completed, and that would be the Windy City series and In Her Own League. I had no intentions on reading this series at all. I don't know why. I just was like, I don't know. What's the hype? And then I was like, fuck it. I'm going to read it. And here we are. I read this one first. This, again, is not part of the series, but if I had to rank it in the series, this is my favorite book. Technically, this one's 6 stars. I don't know what it was about their relationship, and just, I don't know if it was because they're older. This was not anything to do with the players. It's the coach and the owner, and they're both full-grown adults. The maturity, I don't know. I love this. Women empowerment and how they hold such strong positions professionally and have to overcome so much in like a men's world. Obviously, Reese being the first female owner of a professional baseball team and all of the terrible things that are said about her. I just like the growth and like overcoming and just like basically kicking the asses of the men in the business. I don't know. I'm all for it. And so I love that about her just personally, but then their relationship together, Monty and Reese, I don't know. It was so good. Yeah. I just, I don't even know what else to say. Oh, just, I'm still really hot. So anyway, if you have not read the Windy City series, you should. But if you don't want to, definitely read this. Finally, therefore, I read Rewind It Back. Now, here's the thing about this. 5 stars. I don't know if it's because I read them within... Can you hear? I don't know if you can hear. I have chickens. And I have a rooster who is he's a dick. He's the meanest rooster I've ever had. And I raised him from a fucking chick. And he wants to kill me every time I go out there. He's like, I've had him for, it's like 3 years old now. I don't even know. He's such a dick. And I don't know if you can hear him, but I can see him out the window. And I just want to punt him across the... I don't know if it's because I read all of the books so close together. This might be, if I had to rank right now, like on the spot, like if somebody walked in and was like, you need to rank all these books right now or this is going to happen, I would probably do Play Along, Caught Up, Rewind It Back. Then, oh, I hate to say this. I feel like Mile High and The Right Move are kind of like equal at the bottom. And I know all the Ryan Shea lover, like, come at me. I freaking loved this book. Here's the thing. I do not like when books do flashbacks. I don't know what it is. And I haven't really read that many. This, surprisingly, I did not mind because it was like one chapter as a flashback and then like 5 or 6 chapters in the present time. And every time there was a flashback, it had like a specific purpose that either you already knew about from like the previous chapter, if there was like something that they were discussing and they remembered about their past, and then you would actually read that chapter next, or you would read a past chapter and when you got to the end of that chapter, you're like, oh, that makes sense. And then you would jump into the future again or into the present and you're like, wow. But it was only like one chapter at a time, and it was every so often. It wasn't like an every other constant chapter flapping back and forth, or it wasn't like the first half of the book was all of the past and then it jumped. This was done really, really well. And I feel like that's what made me understand and like feel and connect with them as like a couple and as like characters. And I always thought he was just like playing around and like never settling down, and like the whole time he never stopped thinking about Haley. He never told any of the current players and friends, like nobody knew she existed, and they always just thought he was just like, you know, one night stands here and there and hookups and whatever. And like, no, I don't even know if that's a spoiler, so sorry, but I really liked this. I did. Hopefully this video is not super long, and hopefully I get it edited and put out soon before April is over, because this was my March reads. So that's where I'm at. So what does that mean now? I finished... Well, technically, I guess I only finished one series, and all the rest of them were just completing or catching up on series where more books are going to be coming out. I guess if anybody's finished Crown Tide and actually thinks it's worth it, let me know. But as of right now, it's probably going to sit on my shelf with all the rest of the books, and I may never get to it. So, yeah. So, that being said, thank you for watching. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.